Hi guys, when you're looking to migrate to another country, you're often going to explore more than one option just so that you have more than one option available to keep your options open, right? And very often when you're thinking about this list, the first two names that come to your mind are Canada and the UK. And that also brings us to the question of which of the two are better for you, because while Canada and the UK both have their pros and cons, the process of applying for a PR or looking to settle in both of them is fundamentally different. And it's natural for you to have this doubt in your mind, which is exactly why in today's video, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Canada and the UK and helping you decide which is the better option for you. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ashika, and on this channel we primarily talk about moving to the UK, how you can move to the UK whether you're a dependent, a student, or a working professional, and what your life's going to be like once you move here. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the time to do it and click on the bell icon for notifications. Now, one of the biggest factors I would consider while looking to migrate either Canada or to the UK would be the proximity to your home country, because you'll naturally want to go visit your family members, your home country once in a while. Now, if you're from India like I am, the UK is a lot closer to India or any neighboring country to India as well, which is really great. I mean, it takes about 11 hours from Bangalore to London. But Canada, on the other hand, is much further away. Flying from Bangalore to Toronto would be like 19 and a half hours, and it would be like 13 or 14 hours from Delhi to Toronto, which has considerably increased travel time. If you like traveling, it's a lot easier to travel from UK to any other country. Like UK to Europe is really close by. You can get from London to Paris in like 3 hours by train. But anywhere from Canada except the US takes really, really long, which is something also you should keep in mind. Apart from that, if you also like traveling within a place, like you can get to most places in the UK at max by driving for 8 or 9 hours. You can get from the south to the north if you drive for 8 or 9 hours, but well, you can drive for 8 or 9 hours in Canada and still be in the same province, because Canada is a lot larger than the UK. So that's something you should keep in mind. So if you want to move to the UK, you need a visa. Now, you either need a work visa or a student visa. To get a work visa, you have to get a job in the UK. So you have to get someone to sponsor you, and then you get a work visa. And if you want to move to the UK as a student, you need to get accepted into a college, get a student visa, and then move to the UK before you even consider staying forever. In Canada, it's a lot different. In Canada, you can actually apply for a PR in Canada from your home country and then move to Canada and then look for a job. So it's a lot easier to move to Canada versus the UK. And the best part is Canada is a lot more flexible when it comes to bringing your family along with you in the case of a PR versus the UK. Now, the absolutely brilliant part about Canada is you can actually apply, like I mentioned earlier, for a PR for Canada while you're still in your home country. And if that's not how you do it, if you move to Canada for a job, after 3 or 4 years or 5 years of working in Canada, you can just apply for your PR, and it's a rather simple process. Now, let's talk about how much you can earn in both Canada and the UK. The monthly average wage in Canada is about 4,591 Canadian dollars, while in the UK, it is 2,076 pounds. Now, if you'd like to compare apples to apples, Canada offers £2,950, while the UK offers £2,076. And if you'd like to talk in rupees, Canada offers 2,80,626 rupees, while the UK offers 1,97,496 rupees. This puts Canada a lot ahead of the UK. If you're talking about minimum wages, the minimum wage in Canada depends on where you're working. In Ontario, the minimum wage is about 15 Canadian dollars, which translates to approximately 917 rupees per hour as of today. In Manitoba, the minimum wage is 11.95 Canadian dollars, which is about 731 rupees per hour. In the UK, if you are above 21 years, the basic wages are 9.5 pounds per hour. That's about 910 rupees per hour, and by 2024, the national minimum wage will be 10.5 pounds an hour. Now, moving on to the cost of living. Since London is one of the most expensive cities in the world, it's actually the 20th most expensive city to live in the world. Living in London can get really, really expensive. So assume you spend £5,100 in London to maintain a certain lifestyle. If you'd like to maintain the same lifestyle in Canada, all you would need to pay is £4,358. That's a whole lot less. The cost of living for a single person in London is £2,563 versus Toronto, which if you take in pounds is only 1,848. To give you an example, a lunch in London costs you about £14 and only £11 in Toronto. A cheap 1 BHK costs approximately £1,785 in London, but in Toronto it costs you only £1,133. But before we go ahead, let me know in the comment section below if you prefer Canada or the UK, and let me know your reasons. I would love to know why you prefer either. Now, moving on to one of the biggest ways you're going to lose money in both Canada and the UK, the tax system. Assume you make £70,000 a year in the UK. This is approximately 66.5 lakhs in India. You'll take home approximately £4,100 a month, which is approximately 3,92,000 a month in India. Now, let's keep the same salary of £70,000 a year in Canada, which translates to $109,000. Canadian dollars. Now, after all of your taxes, you will receive 6,286 Canadian dollars, which is approximately 4,117 pounds and 384,000 rupees. So honestly, not too much of a difference. Now, in terms of the benefits that the government provides, again, they're not too far off from each other. Both Canada and the UK have a public healthcare system. In the UK, you pay a health surcharge, which basically comes from the surcharge fee that you pay as a part of your visa fee. And when you become a British citizen, you actually even get access to public funds. In the UK, as with Canada, you don't have to pay most of your medical bills. So every time you go in for a consultation, or if you're admitted in the hospital, you don't have to pay any of those bills. All you need to do is pay for the cost of your actual medicines, which is absolutely great. Now, things are a little different when it comes to education. If you're a student and if you're evaluating colleges between Canada and the UK, what's great about the UK is that the UK offers you a 1-year master's versus Canada, which offers you a 2 years master's. The cost of both of them are relatively similar, but the benefit of being in the UK is A, you finish your master's faster in 1 year. And the second thing is because you're only staying for a year, if you're only doing your course, you end up spending a lot less in other incidental expenses, right? So it's much cheaper if you look at it. Now, both Canada and the UK have free education all the way from kindergarten or reception, like you call it in the UK, all the way till secondary school. And all you need to do is pay for your uniforms and a few incidental costs here and there, but the education by itself is completely free. Now, one of the key differences is that UK is renowned for its education and actually boasts of some of the absolutely best colleges in the entire world. The University College of London is actually ranked 8th in the entire world, and the University of Edinburgh is ranked 20th. Now, moving on to the weather, and the weather is completely different between Canada and the UK, so pay close attention. In the UK, we have what is usually known as moderate weather. Like, the weather is never extreme, which can't be the case in Canada, which we can't say about Canada, right? So the winters usually go like, the lowest is like 0, 1, 2, at max -3, -4. And on hot summer days, I think the warmest we've had it this year was, I think, 32 degrees. That's honestly been the warmest it's been in the UK right now. And it doesn't really snow too much in the UK. Like Edinburgh and the north sees a fair amount of snow, little snow actually. Nothing as drastic as Canada. Canada, on the other hand, can be really harsh in the winter. In winters, Toronto has like an average low of -8 and a high of -1. And I think a lot of provinces in Canada are known for having knee-deep snow for months altogether. So stark difference over here between Canada and the UK. Now, if you're considering moving or migrating and you have family members or you're moving as a single individual, you're obviously going to be extremely worried about whether you're going to be safe and whether the crime rates are high, whether the safety numbers are high. So let's talk about that for a bit. If you take the UK as a whole, the crime index shows that the UK scores 46.59 and Canada scores 43.65. which indicates that while Canada has a relatively less crime rate than the UK, the difference really isn't that much. Now, to give you context, the crime rate in Germany is only 36.99 and in Japan is 22.43. And the USA, with all of its issues, is 48.4, which is not too far from Canada or the UK. But now let's compare London to Toronto, and then you see a huge difference. The crime rate for London is 53 and Toronto is only 41. Likewise, the safety scale is only 46 for London but 58 in Toronto. And moving on to something that's really important to me, the number of holidays. This is where the UK scores again. The UK on an average offers 24 to 25 holidays plus bank holidays for most people who start working in the UK. Canada, on the other hand, usually gives you like 2 weeks of holidays, so that's like 10 to 14 days, which is hugely different from the UK, which means that you cannot go on those nice long vacations and make the best of this glorious weather that's going on right now. You can't do any of that if you're in Canada. You have to actually apply for leave or like call in sick or something like that. The UK is much better prepared for people wanting to take leave in that regard and wanting to go to Europe and enjoy their summers, or wanting to chill in Geneva for the winter, or head over to the slopes of... Oh, don't get me started. Okay, now while you know the pros and cons about both of these places, one of the biggest factors that helped us determine whether we moved to the UK or not was to evaluate the cost of living in the UK. What we actually did was we put in a lot of time and effort calculating what our approximate salary would be and what our cost of living would be and whether this decision made sense for us economically or not. Now, if you'd like to know more about this, all you need to do is click on this video to find out all the details about the cost of living in the UK.